third video in a row. Still sitting in my zero turn. I don't know if that's going to make any sense. Yeah, I guess it depends on which order I put my videos. So I'll put the one where I'm sitting in my zero turn. This one, I think I'm going to use the video. We just went to Maryland. Assateague, I think is how you say it. I always screw it up. But basically, it's an island in Maryland where back in the old days, I believe it was a Spanish ship sunk off the shore, and a bunch of horses swam to shore, and they've been wild ever since. So you can camp there, and these horses have free reign. And I was able to catch some video. We've been there several times. We own our own horses, so it's not that big of a deal, but it's still pretty cool. So I recorded a couple times when the horses were near us, and I took some video of the place where we were staying. It's very nice. So yeah, I'll use that video while I do this. I'm going to do my final thoughts on the book that I just finished, and that was Tarzan of the Apes, and it was by Edgar Burroughs. And I guess this would be considered a classic fiction, written in 1914, and it was 324 pages long. So I'm pretty sure everybody knows Tarzan, right? I thought I knew Tarzan. But I have to say, this may be a bit of a spoiler, but I gotta say it just because of how stupid I am. When I was reading this, there's a husband and a wife that get left on an island, or not an island, but in the jungle. And for some reason, I thought that was Tarzan. I thought somehow this English nobleman, I think they're English. Anyway, he's a nobleman. Gets left in a jungle, and for some reason, I thought he digresses into Tarzan. So yeah, I was a little surprised and embarrassed when I realized that they have a baby. And something happens to the parents where this baby, who just so happens to turn into Tarzan, is born, raised by apes. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, I thought it was pretty comical. The reason I think that is because this is one of those shows that I used to watch with my dad, amongst other things like Star Trek, Twilight Zone, Kung Fu shows. But yeah, Tarzan was another one of those ones where I thought I knew what Tarzan was. It was some dude that wore barely any clothes, swung around with Jane in his arm, and could destroy all kinds of lions and other animals. Meanwhile, I had no clue that he was raised by apes. And then I proceeded to ask my wife, I'm like, hey, do you know the story of Tarzan? She's like, no, not really. So then I told her, I'm like, did you know that? She's like, oh, no, not really. She's like, I didn't watch those shows. But then she's like, but then again, I didn't watch the Disney. I guess Disney did one years ago as well. So clearly I didn't watch that as well. So anyway, long story short, he's a baby. Something happens to his parents. A mama ape comes and grabs him and raises him as his own. And that is where Tarzan comes from. He is not a nobleman who digresses. What I will say, like I said, most people probably know what Tarzan is about. But as far as this book goes, what I will say is I absolutely love this book, man. I'm starting to realize that I am liking books that are written in older times. This one, 1914? This Western that I'm reading, Pete from Bookless Pete just told me that was written in 1921. There's just a feel, there's just a vibe. This may turn off some people, but I'm not a woke person. I'm not probably politically correct. But what I will say is, since I've become a Christian, and I'm not going to go on some type of soapbox rant here, but I was originally raised by my mom and my dad. And my dad was the one, when I got hurt told me to stop crying. If you're not bleeding, you can't cry. So he's telling me to not cry, suck it up, be a man. Well, I used to think that was kind of harsh. But now I'm starting to think, okay, that's kind of my dad's role. That was his role to turn me into a man. Like, yes, with the feminist movement that we have with, and not with women, but in men, we're being taught that we're supposed to be more like women. We're supposed to be more caring and more coddling of this. But you know what? My dad would say that to me, and then I would continue to cry and be coddled and comforted by my mother. So my dad had a role, my mom had a role. Society's telling me that I need to have the role of a woman. Not necessarily true. So we're kind of browbeaten that we need to be more feminine or more, I don't want to say caring, because we do need to be more caring, but so I'm not saying that, but we do have different roles. Men are more aggressive. Women tend to be more caring. Men tend to be a little less caring. Yeah, it's kind of in our DNA. It's kind of how we were created. So, with that all said, what I'm realizing in some of these older books, the men are men and the women are women, and I'm enjoying that aspect. And I know in today's society, like, I may get ripped for saying this. I don't know. I think it's ridiculous that I would. I'm not putting anybody down, but there's a part of me that's kind of annoyed that I'm being told that I need to be a certain way, when in reality I like the newer me, the more manly me, where do the things that I'm supposed to do. You guys tell me, the women that are married, would you not be disgusted if somebody's breaking into your house and your husband turned to you and said, maybe you better go take care of that? I'd be embarrassed if that's what I said to my wife. That, in my opinion, that's my job. And my job is to protect my family. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry that I'm getting on a tangent, but I did want to talk and touch on that just because these books are more like that, where the man is more protective, the man is a little bit more aggressive, and I know this is the part that might be offensive, but the women are a little more docile. Like they want to be taken care of. They want their men to be men. And honestly, there's a part of me that wonders, like, deep down inside, even though everybody's being told this, I would think women, in a sense, do want that. They do want that protection. They do want that person to lay down their lives for them. Could be completely wrong. I'm not saying everybody, but I would think the majority. I don't know. I'll probably get kicked off of BookTube at this point, or lose all my subscribers. So yeah, I wanted to touch on that. So that's part of what I'm really, I guess the Western, I'm not going to talk about that, but that there's parts of that as well that are leaning into that. With the Tarzan, what I will say is in my opinion, there was a ton of action. I love the action in it. The storyline was great. Tons of adventure. Man, this book was so good, man. It's so good. I'm so glad that I decided I wanted to read this. Thank you, Pete, for I don't know. I don't remember what video it was. I don't know if you even talked about it or if you just put a picture up. I can't remember what it was, but I was like drawn to it. And honestly, maybe I'm turning into a little bit of a sap here. I told you all that I would never want to read love stories, but the love story in this is phenomenal, man. How this ends is not what I expected. It's clearly ends so that you have to go and read book 2. Like, there's a cliffhanger, like, oh man, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but this Tarzan was, in my opinion, a real man. He like gave up his own feelings and his own well-being, I don't know, what do you want to call it, his own self. He wasn't selfish. He gave up all that for another person. And that, to me, that's, I don't know. I mean, women can do that as well. They cannot be. But, yeah, the love story was great. I'm sorry, I'm just reading my notes. I already talked about that. So yeah, again, I'm not going to go into any type of detail. I just wanted to say that I love this book. What I will say is I don't think this book is for everybody. I would say I'd recommend it, but I wouldn't say I would recommend it to everybody. You kind of need to know whether this is something you're interested in or not. If it is something you're interested in, I think you're going to like it. If it's something that it's like, I don't think I want to read something like that, I wouldn't recommend reading it. Although I love it and I like it, I don't know that we would all like it and love it for the same reasons. But yeah, I know that seems weird when you like a book so much and you say that not to recommend it to some people. But anyway, wasn't quite a 5, but it was a 4.5. Again, I mean, I guess I kind of picked this, but not really. I stole it from Pete, so I didn't really pick it. I just stole it off his channel. I will say that I will be reading the next book in the series at some point. I've already got it downloaded from Project Gutenberg, and it is on my Kindle to read at some point because I got to find out what happens. Got to find out. This guy sacrificed, gave up something that he loved, crushed my heart. So yeah, Pete, again, thank you for pointing this out. I'm sorry if my rant went a little long, if it somehow offended people. Go ahead and label me, that's fine. I live with a whole bunch of people in my household that love to put me in categories, so I'm okay with it. But yeah, for those that I haven't offended and are still watching my video, I do appreciate everybody. Hopefully, what I said is, it is my true feelings, but it's not taken too. I don't want to say not taken too serious, but I don't know, man. Let's just not be too serious about everything, I guess is where I would go with that. Let's just try and enjoy things. Let's be a little more, I don't want to say not caring, but so offended by everything. I don't know. All right, well, I guess this is what happens after making 3 videos in a row. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I think I'm all caught up with videos. I mean, I still have more tags to do, but I'm done for a while. I'm going to edit these 3, have my videos for next week. And yeah, I got to get some reading done. I got to get that Western done. Pete's on me, man. He wants an early release date on that bad boy. So I think I'm about 35% done. So I'm gonna go plant some plants for my wife. I'm gonna dig in some dirt, get dirty, plant those for her. Then I'm gonna shower. I'm gonna eat, and then hopefully I'll read without falling asleep. Maybe watch some sports. Yeah, that's my life in a nutshell. All right, enough rambling. Thank you, everybody. I really do appreciate you all, and take care. Bye-bye.